Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Hey everybody, it's Tuesday night. It's Kevin. Welcome to another Wicked Horror Show. No guest this week, just myself and Mr. Tony of the Dead.
Tony of the Dead?
My goodness.
Wow.
That's I was just mentioning him the other day. That's probably where it came up. Too many Tonys in my life.
Well, this is Tony Has Nine Fingers. What is going on, people?
Wow, you caught me on that. Remember I said that someone was going to cry? I don't know if you read the description. I said someone was going to cry in this episode. It's going to be me. I got that wrong. And then Wolfie didn't show up for his own birthday extravaganza.
We were going to sing to him and everything.
Yep.
Now, if you're watching Wolfie, we're not singing to you.
Yep. Way to go, Wolfie. You blew it. Anyways, we're just going to talk about some stuff and some things. Nothing really set in stone. A couple, you have a con coming up this weekend?
Yes, Saturday.
All right. And
not horror related, but
yeah,
it's a con.
Yeah, it's a con. And I have one coming up in Verona, New York. I believe it's in Verona. I think that's where the place is. That's in August though. But I'm going to have a booth there for the Dorkening Podcast Network. So if anyone is in that area, definitely stop by, say hi. I'm planning on doing some kind of raffle thing to raise some money for the network. There's going to be some 3D printed stuff, some other stuff. I'm going to see if I can get some stuff from Deadly Grounds, some other cool, fun things. And what I'm planning on doing is the numbers that I pass out, they're all going to be either on they're going to be on like little skulls, like little skull keychains. So there's black ones and there's like silver ones and stuff. So that way, there's going to be different tiers. This is what I'm thinking. So it's like, all right, the black tier is this much money per entry. And it's these prizes. The silver tier is a little bit more, and it's these prizes. And then maybe I'll have like a gold one or something where it's like stupid amount of stuff. And maybe I'll have like doubles of everything from the first two tiers, and it'll be everything plus something else.
That'll work.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I don't know. I'm just thinking of a way to raise some money and some eyeballs to the network. You know how it is. Speaking of the Dorkening Podcast Network, we are part of the Dorkening Podcast Network. So yeah, go to thedorkening.com for more information on all the shows there. There's also some new streaming movies that just came out last week that I'd send the list to Wolfie, but he's not here. I was going to keep rubbing that in. I just wanted to talk about a few of those. Some of those were, friends of the show kind of movies and what have you. And yeah, so you had some stuff that you wanted to bring up. I know you got some, was it Vinegar Syndrome?
Vinegar Syndrome recently had their halfway to Black Friday sale. Mm-hmm. What's going on, Surge?
Yes. Yeah, and we also have Alfredo saying, what's up? What's going on?
Alfredo. But
it's only to me, not you, just me.
Hey, listen, it happens sometimes.
It does happen.
Because I'm not even Tony Has Nine. Yeah, I can't even say my own name.
Why? You're Tony of the Dead.
But anyway, Vinegar Syndrome has its, halfway to Black Friday sale. I actually got my pack. Usually every time we order stuff, Wolfie always mentions it to me. Usually he gets his like a couple weeks before me or like whatever. This time I got mine sent to
Brother Max.
What's up, Max?
Do me a favor and guilt trip Wolfie for not coming on for his own birthday celebration. It's it's pretty messed up. That's all I got to say. I had a cake. I don't know. I'm gonna call him, have it canceled. Yeah, I'm gonna have it canceled. I was gonna have people sing happy birthday in the chat. We're gonna try to figure that out. don't know how that was going to work. So I was going to say that Wolfie's 18 again, or 18 times whatever. I don't know. But I can't say it because he's not here, and I'm going to guilt trip him for the rest of his life on it. Sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, I got my my one in before he did. So I got a few different things. Some like Cloak and Dagger was the big one that it was like limited edition. So you had to pre-order it. I'm lucky I got that one because now it's going for like, over $100 when I got it for like 35 or 40. I forget exactly how much I paid for it. That I pre-ordered in like April. So
it's Jeff from The Talking Dead. What's going on, Jeff?
What's up?
Still waiting for that episode to come out. I'm just saying. I know like it's a process, but yeah, I haven't changed my profile picture since I went up and filmed with you guys, and I think that's been it's been a while now. But I'm still itching to see if I ruined your episode, and I apologize in advance. Yeah, brother Max got Cloak and Dagger as well. I know Wolfie already got a big like shipment of Vinegar Syndrome stuff.
He said he was still waiting. He did when I messaged him happy birthday on Facebook. He mentioned he's like, oh, I checked out your video for Vinegar Syndrome. He's like, you got a lot of good stuff. I'm still waiting on mine. So
I thought he already got one. Maybe it was somewhere else because he was just showing me a bunch of movies. But I don't know.
Maybe it was like because I know Severn had a sale. I think Arrow had a sale. Like I think a lot of the major boutique labels had usually around that time they'll have like a sale going on at the same exact time. So
yeah, brother Max is waiting on his as well for the Vinegar Syndrome sale. Yeah, for your whole Cloak and Dagger and whatever else he got. I was saying I think I only got I think I only own one Vinegar Syndrome movie, which is weird because they're very close to me. Like they have a physical store that they're based out of that's one state away. They're in Connecticut, and I've never been. Most of the cons I go to in this area, they're there with a table full of stuff. And,
they were always the last couple cons I went to. I was before I would not pass by them, but the only thing is with them, they're a little bit on the more expensive side. A lot of the boutique labels are, unfortunately. But the one thing that they got going for them that I think, kind of, I don't want to puts them over the edge, but, between Scream Factory and Vinegar Syndrome and Arrow and stuff like that, each one puts out awesome, like, special features. So that's one of the main reasons I still collect. Whenever I do my lives on TikTok, a lot of people always, well, why do you collect this stuff? And they don't say it in such a nice way. They're like, oh, you do realize you can, download all this stuff, or I have all these movies on a little gigabyte drive or whatever. And I'm just like, well, do you have the special features?
You're not supporting the filmmakers.
But then at that point in time, I'm like, oh, you got the movie. Do you have anything else that goes with it? Like me as a movie watcher, one of the major reasons is the special features and the nostalgia factor of it, being able to pick up the movie and stuff. And what I was going to get into is Vinegar Syndrome puts out a lot of like awesome slip covers and stuff. So like they're just, I guess their presentation is why I like them a little bit more than some. Like it's between Scream Factory and Vinegar Syndrome for me. Arrow puts out some really good sets as well, but
they have their own streaming service as well. So I think a lot of people go that route with Arrow. And I've heard nothing but good things about it.
No, it's another.
I subscribe to way too many. But yeah, I think it was Anthony Thurber was telling me how much he loves it. Like he watches the Arrow streaming service more than he watches like
Netflix
Shudder,
and stuff.
Shudder even. But yeah, but so yeah, I mean, I think we talked about that last time too, about the whole boutique thing and like how the physical media is kind of on its way out, unfortunately. But there are some good streaming services out there and some new movies that have come out as well. Do we have a movie trailer? I don't have a movie trailer because we're not talking about a specific movie. I do have a video I'm going to play later, and you're going to hate it. So I don't know if Sergio or anyone else, if you remember the last time we had a show where it was just Tony and I, or just a few of us. I played a video for a fan of the show. His group is called Fat Monster Matt, and so I have he mentioned, because I sent him a video, and he's like, "Oh, that's where the theme song comes from. The theme song for the opening of this lovely show." And I had my friend Bill, who I was in a band with for a very long time, send me a video of my old band playing said song that is used for the intro, but it's the full song, and it's from 2004. So it's a long time ago. So I'll play that later on. We're all younger back then. It was before I knew my wife. It was a lot. You were probably in diapers still back
I
then.
was. That was a year after I graduated high school.
Okay, so yeah, you were still in diapers. So let me see. How's everyone's Best Buy? Have they taken away their movie section? I haven't been into my Best Buy in my area in a very long time, because every time I go in there, I'm just disappointed. I think the last time I went in there was to get a headset for work, and that was, right around the beginning of the pandemic, and I haven't been in there since.
Same thing. I mean, I go in there periodically, but every time I go in there, it just shrinks and shrinks. So at that point in time, I'm like, there's no point. Why not? I'd rather just either try to. But that's the problem too. Is like a lot of these, me as a collector, a lot of the steel books that come out that are like Best Buy exclusives or anything like that, they're very hard to get. And then at that point in time, you want the movie, and then you look on like eBay or whatever, and all the scalpers or whatever you want to call them are doubling or tripling the price because they can get them and other people can, and it's just like ridiculous. Where you can get a movie for $20.
Talk about a blast from the past. Dale Stark, remember Dale? He's like up in the boonies, like upstate New York, I believe. But yeah, he's like where it's like winter all the time, or something. I don't know if it's New York or if it's Vermont, I forget, or maybe Maine. Maybe it's Maine. But yeah, he's a good dude. He does a lot of lives on his YouTube. Definitely go check him out. He talks a lot about movies and stuff. How you been, Dale? It's been a long time. He was on the Dorkening a few times, way back in the day. But yeah, wow. I haven't talked to Dale in forever. What's up? Anyways, sorry, where were you? Where were you before I interrupted?
I was just saying that with the I guess not downfall, but like going into, I haven't been into a Walmart or Target in the longest time, but it seemed like the same way where everything was just dwindling down to what used to be 5-6 rows of movies to 2 to like a half a thing to like little racks, and it's just like,
I go to Walmart more than anything, and they just have like the big bins just filled with stuff. Then they have an end cap with like a special or something, they have some stuff, because I was actually able to find Jordan Pacheco's like latest movie there, when that first came out. So they do get some stuff here and there. It's not what it used to be. You're not going to just find random cool stuff there. You have to go there on
like headless.
Right. Well, no, I found Found there, actually.
Oh, I thought it was headless.
No, that was what made me get into his movies, though, because Found was crazy. But anyways, so you're going to a convention this weekend. This is not a horror convention, but there's going to be some horror elements to the convention. So what's this show? It's
a classic rewind weekend. It's put on by the same people that do the New Jersey Horror Con. That's down in AC. That was one of the last ones I went to with like Felissa Rose and Dave Sheridan and Lar Park Lincoln and a whole bunch of people. Well, this one is more for like the 70s and 80s, 90s kids, I guess you want to call it. So I can pull up a lot of let me pull it up.
Did you say like what's his face from Saved by the Bell is going to be there?
Yeah, Zach Morris. And
so the funny thing is he just came up in conversation. R.W. Martin, right?
Yes.
He's actually starting a new show, and I'm going to produce it for him.
Okay.
It's called All Our Yesterdays. And he's like, yeah, if you ever, if the blonde guy from Saved by the Bell. I'm like, actually, that's funny you bring that up. Tony was just talking about how he's going to be at a con soon. So yeah, go check out R.W. Martin's Facebook page, because I'm gonna be producing that, but I'm also going to be like part of the show. So that's going to be on Sundays, I believe, that show is going to go live. Go
So
ahead.
a lot of the stuff from my childhood, like the early '90s, is one of the main reasons. Two people from Little Giants, Becky the Icebox O'Shea and Spike.
Mhm.
Them two will be there. A bunch of people from Mighty Ducks. So Danny Tamborelli is going to be there, but not
nice.
only for Mighty Ducks, but for Pete and Pete.
Yeah.
Also, Goldberg, Sean Weiss will be there, which it seems like he's doing a lot better in his recovery. Connie Moreau, the girl who played Margot. What's her last name? I could look it up. She was also in like Wet Hot American Summer and stuff.
Okay. I think I know who you're talking about.
But anyway, Tara Reid's going to be there. One of the ones I'm excited for is just because I'm always, and I know you love them as well, like voice actors. Jim Cummings is going to be there, who did like Winnie the Pooh and Darkwing Duck and all that stuff. So I'm actually
just
excited.
do yourself a favor and just go look up The Bonfire, Winnie the Pooh, because there was this whole thing that came out years ago. There was like a dispute between him and his wife, and they were, they were imitating Winnie the Pooh and reenacting the argument. It was pretty great. But it was like, I think he was arrested and everything. It was a long time ago. But yeah, I'm all about that. I'm all about voice actors. That's the one thing too. I was talking to RW about his new show, and I was like, I would like to get some voice actors on. I'm like, that doesn't really fit in Wicked Horror Show unless they've been in some of the movies. But I can't be like, hey, Billy West, you were Ren and Stimpy, horror movies, huh? I can't be like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it sounds like a cool show for sure.
Yes, definitely. I mean, right up my alley at that point in time, where it's like, those are the movies that kind of. I guess people ask too, why do you like movies so much? It's because I grew up with them, so it kind of made me as a person. So like a lot of the early stuff, like Heavyweights, that's one of the ones that I'm going to be bringing. So it's the guy Sean Weiss and Aaron Swartz is another one who played Carp in the first Mighty Ducks, but then he also played the one kid in Heavyweights. So those movies brought me up. So once I saw all those names, I'm like, I got to go to this one.
And those movies were all after my time.
That was right in mine. So like early 90s was like, when I first, because in the 80s, I remember some stuff, but like it was the 90s when I was old enough to know what I was watching.
Right. Like, so in the early 90s is when, I graduated in 94. If it was 1994 and I'm sitting there like, I got to go home and watch Heavyweights again. Like, I'm sure you'll be like, what's going on? This is crazy. But yeah, I don't know. So yeah, it sounds like a cool show. I'm sure you're going to go broke again.
Yep. But I've been saving
how far? Yeah. How far are you from Verona?
Don't know. I never really looked like upstate New York.
And by the way, it's not Verona, it's Vernon, New York. It's at Vernon Downs Casino Hotel is where this the one I'm going to be at. It's on August 26th and 27th. And there's some familiar faces at this show, so I'm excited. Genevieve Rossi's going to be there. Haven't seen her in a wicked long time. We have, let me see. This is one that I'm also excited about. I don't know if I've ever seen him at a show, but Richard, is it Masur? He was in The Thing. He was in It, like the original It. If you saw him, you would totally know who he was.
Which was he? One of the young kids or one of the like?
No, he was. I think he may have been one of the fathers when they were young kids.
Okay.
I think. CJ Graham. I've met him before. He's a nice dude. And then David Howard Thornton's going to be there, so I'm excited. I'm gonna try to make him and Genevieve some stuff. Just some. Here you go. I printed this for you. I'm ridiculous, but yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be a good show. And again, if you're in that area, please come by and say hi.
It's 4 hours, about 3 hours and 44 minutes.
It's about the same for me. So I'll see you there. All right, cool. But yeah, so one of the things I wanted to talk to Wolfie about because I sent him the list, but he doesn't seem to care about his own birthday. I'm sure he's not celebrating at all right now. There was a list of some new original horror movies that released. This was for last week. Some of it looks really, really cool. Actually, I'll share my screen so that way the people that are watching would be able to see what I'm talking about.
So anybody that's listening right now, remember you can always switch over to Tuesday nights to actually watch. So, well, I mean, unless you want to go blind, because us aren't the prettiest of people.
Speak for yourself. All right, so this is. I'm just kidding. So that's we'll get into that. So Terror Trips. This is we've had a bunch of people on the show for this movie. This is the one starring Hannah Fairman from VHS. We've had her on multiple times. And this is one that they were working on during the pandemic. And this is like one of the first movies that we talked to that they were doing filming during the pandemic and everything. So this one's finally out on VOD. It's a pretty cool idea. It's basically, it says 6 friends start a business providing guided tours to the shooting locations of the world's most famous horror films until they find one spot where the horror is real. So
I think we almost had the entire cast on at one point.
Probably.
Different points. We've had Hannah on a bunch. Kate Kiddo, who's in a whole bunch of stuff now, and I saw her post that I think she's going to be in like a Christmas movie or something like that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Interesting.
Yeah, everyone loves Christmas. This one's pretty cool because if I was, in an area that they had these guided tours of horror locations, you better believe I would be at that tour. And it's just pretty cool. Like they're touring these horror movie locations, and poop hits the fan. It's streaming right now everywhere. VOD. Go check that out. Support independent filmmakers. Don't just download it. This one, it's Irazul, something like that. This is one of the ones that Wolfie said sounded interesting. It's a swamp mermaid goddess. So yeah, friends get together as like a reunion, and they come across this swamp mermaid goddess of some sort. Then there's this one, the Nanny's Night. And the one thing that has me all about it is I'm a big Dead Alive fan. I know you are as well. There's a lot of people out there that are. So Diana Pantalever, I don't know if I'm definitely not saying that right. I just put mine back on my shelf. She played Paquita in Dead Alive, also known as "Your mother ate my dog." That's like my favorite imitation of her that I do, or a quote. It's got some of from Pirates of the Caribbean in there, some of from Star Wars, a Devil's Backbone, King of Kings.
So I'm guessing this one's a little bit bigger budget then at that point in time.
Yeah, it looks like it. I mean, it's I don't know if it's a foreign film or what, but it's a babysitting movie, and things go awry, and Paquita plays one of the mothers. Then there's a movie called Isolated. It's a self-contained mystery action thriller.
Self-contained action. Okay.
Yeah. Similar to the concept of Red Eye and Devil. It is a movie with Danny Trejo, but he's in everything. And then that image that you saw at the beginning is a movie called Mad God. And this is a all stop motion movie that's streaming now on Shudder, and it looks ridiculous.
Okay, that's the one that I saw pictures of. So I should have put 2 and 2 together, but that one definitely has, like, when I first saw one of the pictures, it reminded me of like the little creatures from The Gate. I was just like, okay, this kind of has me sold already at this point in time. But
yeah. So one cool thing too is it says in this article that he puts behind the scenes stuff, clips for his projects on YouTube. So that's even though it's streaming on Shudder, you can go and watch some of the behind the scenes stuff. That this one looks crazy. This is another one that Wolfie was like, yeah, this one looks interesting. So we'll be checking that out. But yeah, there's a lot of just cool stuff. It seems like there's been more and more horror every week, which is good. And it's also sometimes can be bad, because it's good because there's a lot of smaller budget stuff getting eyes on it. But at the same time too, there's a lot of smaller stuff that maybe is mucking up the works here and there as well.
Yeah, but to tell you the truth, I remember a couple years ago with the indie scene where there was a few that I was just like, I couldn't even get through and stuff like that. But the past couple years, I can't say that there's many that I've watched and I was just like, this is like, I don't want to say torture, but sometimes it was like I can't get through this kind of deal. I don't remember seeing one where it was just some I was just like, it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, or it wasn't the greatest thing I've seen, but it wasn't one recently where I was just like, I couldn't bear it. I couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of things too is there's a lot that just looks interesting. So like I may skip past the stuff that doesn't seem like it's a good idea and just go right to the cool stuff. There's a YouTuber, I forget his name. He does like a list of like the top 10 like scariest movies streaming now on Netflix and the top 10 original movies on Hulu or whatever. Like he does stuff like that. And he did one. It's the top 10 like scariest movies on Tubi. And he was saying, he's like, there's a lot of people that are sleeping on Tubi and blah, blah, blah. Like that's the place to be because there's bigger budget stuff, some older, bigger budget stuff that's on Tubi now. Like 1408 was on his list and that's on Tubi. He mentioned Terrifier and that's on Tubi as well as All Hallows Eve and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely a place to be if you want to check out some independent horror and what have you. My dog's walking around. I'm assuming my wife is home. Oh, he's in Canada. So Dale Stark is in Canada. So you're very close to Maine, I think. Because I was at one point I was working at a TJ Maxx in Maine, I want to say, and you had just been there or you were going there. Like you would go there on like a bus trip or something to go like do shopping. I think that was the case. Could be completely wrong. But anyways, we're about halfway to like done with the show. So I want to play that Banana Gun video. So for anyone watching that has ever wondered where the little short music clip at the beginning of the show, where it's coming from, it's a song called Banana Gun by my old band, Paco. We played for a very long time. And I had my friend Bill send me some videos and he sent me one of Banana Gun from a club in Boston called O'Brien's from 2004. So this is 18 years ago. So it makes me very old. So the sound quality may not be the best. It's only about 2 hours. Geez, 2 minutes, 45 seconds long. So I'm expecting anyone who's watching to not be watching by the time this is done. So here you go. Here's Banana Gun from 2004. I'm the guy with the wrestling mask that's kind of in the corner, keeping to himself.
So here's another reason why you should definitely check us out live Tuesday nights.
Exactly.
You could do both. But
you can.
I think checking us out Tuesday nights brings a little bit more of a flair to it.
Right. We get more people listening, but the live show is more fun. Here we go. Banana Gun 2004, O'Brien's, Boston, Massachusetts.
Hooray for us! Hooray! Paco! 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 This is the last song of the evening. Yeah! This song's called Bass Player's Fired.
That was a big rubber chicken that Bill threw during the song. In case you were wondering, he just took a rubber chicken and just threw it out into. We had fun. We used to. He did during one show at a pretty like large venue. He was making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, or just peanut butter sandwiches, and then throwing them out to the crowd during the set. And
it got pretty heavy in the middle of that. I was like, okay,
yeah.
Breakdown was pretty like metalcore-ish.
Yeah, and the lyrics especially. I don't know if you could tell. I'm sure you could.
I couldn't hear.
The words were Dracula, spatula, spatula, Dracula, spatula. There you go.
Banana gun.
Yep.
Don't forget about that.
You're never gonna take me alive. So anyways, so yeah, that was that. So if that's what I did with myself for a very long time. And it was fun. I'm just old. So
I remember going with my buddy, like, and that's a one thing of like, especially being in the what would you call Paco's like genre at that point in time?
Stupid. I don't know. We started off as an instrumental band that we used to be able to play rock clubs and Latin clubs. We had a lot of we had a lot of polka-ish stuff, like polka beats and stuff like that. Just real quick, Dale Stark has been in your TikTok lives before, Tony.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully you enjoyed yourself, because
he did. He came over here to flip you off, and Sergio wants to let us know that he's still on with us. Thanks, Sergio. Hopefully you enjoyed Paco.
So, what'd you get the name Paco anyway?
I didn't start the band. So actually, what it was is Bill used to drive a box truck as a regular everyday vehicle.
Okay.
And one day it was just an old box truck, and he never put the visor down. And one time he did, and it was a picture of a little kid that was in the visor, and it just said on the back Paco.
Hey, listen.
Yep.
Come up with names from all crazy places.
Exactly.
But what I was going to say is, especially, I don't know the scene at your time, but I know in like, well, you said 2004, so it was about the same time as when they used to do their, 2004 to probably like 2008-ish, 2009-ish is when they would go to like different, we weren't even able to like get in the bars to legally drink, but they played shows. But being in that metalish, rockish scene, it was a little bit harder to get like people in there. So, like, we would go with we would have a decent amount of people, like 15 people or so, come with us, but we'd be the only people that are there. Like if they were the like headliner band, all the bands would leave beforehand. So it was just
that's the biggest BS. I hate that crap. I would always stick around for every band just because they deserve it. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be that. Anyways, I'm still like that. Well, except for when I went to see Scowl. I left after them. But anyways, so thank you, Sergio. Sergio's saying that our show is number one and to keep up the good work.
Thank you,
Sergio. So yeah, what else do you want to talk about? Sergio, what kind of question do you have for us? Dale, you have any questions for us?
We should open up the the floor to anybody, or if you have, I think we asked this before, if there's anybody, we try to get as many guests as we can on, from bigger names to up and coming. Is there anybody that's listening now live, which you can answer now, or if you are listening to the audio side, is there a way they can, comment or anything?
Yeah.
On the audio side?
Yeah, they can add a comment.
All right. So if you are listening or watching, let us know who you would think. Like I think have a good handle on, the up and coming horror movie scene, but there's movies that could, slip through the cracks. So if you are a director or something of horror movies, and you want to talk about something, let us know. Yeah. Or if you are, know of someone, or like I said, you were saying it before, Tubi is one of the, platforms for, you get a lot of different movies in there. So there could be ones that we don't know about, we don't hear about. So that's one thing you can, comment, and we'll try our best to, try to get someone on, because we've had many questions, like people that are starting podcasts or, been doing podcasts for a while. And sometimes they'll ask and they'll be like, how do you get your guests on? And it's just like, you ask.
Right.
I mean, that's what it comes down to at that point in time. It's either worst they could say is no. I mean, I think in essence for me, I think the worst thing is them just not answering. There's been plenty of times, where I'll reach out to someone and I just won't get an answer back.
And then their response will just be a cease and desist in the mail.
So at that point in time, I think that's a little bit worse than a no, I can't make it, or no, I don't do, podcasts or something like that, or
there was one guest that we had on once before. I'm not going to mention their name. We had them on once before. The show wasn't horrible. Do you have? I don't understand your question, Sergio. And then she commented, like after the fact, like well after the fact, like years after the fact, that she doesn't want to. She won't even acknowledge a podcast unless they have like X amount of thousands of subscribers. And I was like, how does that make a successful podcast? Like, how does that, like, just explain it. And she blocked me. Whatever. I saw her at a convention. She was a bee face. So whatever. I'm not even going to mention her name. But speaking of guests, though, what work did I do? What do you mean? He's asking what work I did, Sergio. He said, keep me up to the good work. Or keep up to the good work. I'm not sure what you're asking. Anyways, next week, you have lined up for us. You're asking what I did for a job? Right now, I work in collections. So pay your bills, Sergio, because if not, I'll be calling you up demanding your money. I'll come take your car, take your house. I don't know. Yeah, I work in collections, so I'm the person no one wants to talk to during the day. That's why I'm like so nice on the show, is because I get yelled at all day. Here's a little fun story. One of the first calls I got today, a guy told me, he's like, I was like, he was just flipping out. I'm like, sir, is there anything I can do for you today? Like, what can I do for you right now? And he's just like, you can stop being a piece of shit. I was like, okay. I'm like, would you like to speak with a manager? He's like, it depends. I'm like, depends on what? He's like, if I talk to a manager, will you stop being a piece of shit? Like, that was just, yeah. And I'm like, okay. He was just whatever. He was this dude who was just entitled. And he was pissed that, he didn't pay his own bills. So he was pissed. It's our fault because you didn't pay your bill. Anyways, speaking of guests, not to get too much on the subject of work. So you have set up a bunch of people from the movie Watchdog.
Actually, the one thing I must say is, with all the guests that we've had on, it's cool to build relationships with a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And one of the people that is a constant, always checks up on the show and stuff is Daniel John. We've had him on plenty of times before, and I could see plenty of times in the future. So he'll, if he does a lot of work, I'm guessing like a producer work and stuff, or acting in a few of the movies. Yep. He was the one who contacted me and said, that we have a movie called Watchdog coming out, directed by L.C. Holt.
Who we've had on as well.
We've had on from Your Next and all that stuff. Like, awesome guy. Well, he's directing a movie, and it's got a outstanding cast of. We've said it before a couple times. We were talking about terror trips. We talked about dark circles and stuff. A lot of
Phantom Fun World. Some of the people that we just had on for Phantom Fun World are going to come back on and talk about this movie. So yeah, it's one of those things where awesome guests the last time. They're coming back on for a different movie. We'll talk a little bit more about that one. But yeah, like I said, Daniel's been nothing but awesome. He's always out there, if there's a lead on something, he's like, and that's the thing. It's crazy how they like, he'll mention, he's like, is it all right if I'm like, you don't have to ask, just right.
Be like,
I mean, he's just being proper.
No, I definitely understand that, but
he's a great dude. I've like, before he was even involved in movies, like I knew him from conventions. And he's a dude that like he would always track us down. He would always like wherever we were, he would always track us down and say hi. Like even if we didn't have a booth, and if he knew we were there, he would track Leo and I down, and he'd be like, "Oh, hey, what's going on?" Blah blah blah. He's just a really really good dude. And I don't know if you just saw him. I think you did. I think you commented, but he's got another addition coming to the family. He's gonna have another baby. So I don't know if this is too in inner circle for your job, Tony. But Sergio is asking. This is for Tony. What is CGO at your work?
That is where, if there's a hole in, like if a product's not coming in, you have to figure out why that is not coming in. If there's an inventory problem, so I used to do, that was before, the
current change.
I pretty much did everything. I've been there for so long. I've hit every department, but CGO is one of those, not only for ShopRite, for every, I don't know if it's called the same thing, but it's pretty much one of those like inventory control kind of deal. Yeah. So if something isn't coming, you got to find out why, if it's discontinued, if it's on hold, if say, something comes in on a load and a whole case breaks and no one scans it out, then you're going to have, a whole, 12 items that isn't there kind of deal. So with that, it's, or if new products are coming in and you have to put it on the shelf. So pretty much it's inventory control kind of deal. So
that was a very long explanation for inventory control, Tony. I just want to let you know.
Hey, listen,
I worked retail for a very long time, for most of my life. And thankfully I didn't work very many jobs that had that kind of inventory control. Like it was mostly TJX. So TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Home Goods, AJ Wright. So
your inventory control is a little bit like you were doing like the theft side of it.
Oh yeah,
even have that on our side.
So Sergio, that's another fun thing to talk about work related. Years ago, I worked loss prevention, so I actually would have to like chase people down that were stealing. I went to a FBI interrogation course, and I would do the internal interviews. So if you were an associate, like if you were an employee that was stealing, I was the guy you talked to, and I was the guy that had you arrested. I definitely have a lot of stories when it comes to stuff like that. The craziest being like something like I had a woman arrested on Christmas Eve in front of her whole family, at her own house. It was totally her choice. All she had to do was come down and talk to me. Yeah, we gave her. It was crazy. I was just like, she's like, just do whatever the fuck you're gonna do. I'm like, okay. Call my boss. He's like, hey, call the cops. I'm like, all right. Cops came down, looked at everything. Okay, we're gonna go pick her up. I'm like, she's having a Christmas party right now. This is gonna go well. And that was pretty messed up. But you still have to go to court all the time, represent the company. It was a fun job, but it also got a little dangerous. I had a gun flashed at me. I had needles pulled on me. I had knives pulled on me. I had people follow me home. I had people follow a manager home and like vandalize her car. And it was only because she was a witness for a shoplifting. She was like the witness that was in the office when I apprehended them. And they didn't bother me, but they bothered her for some reason. So because they were just, it's like, oh, well, he can probably fight. So I'm going to bother her because she's like this skinny little Polish girl who just is an assistant manager at this store,
That's
and it was fun, but it was also very brutal. You saw most of the people I dealt with were not top
sane mind.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Exactly. They were like people that you didn't really deal with the best of the best, And the same goes for my job now. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's people that, are good people. They're just in a bad way, but there's other people that just like, all right, I'm going to take out a loan and I'm never going to pay you for it.
Well, I think
you're calling their parents and be like, hey, I'm trying to find your kid, but he's not answering his phone. Can you let him know that I need to talk to him? That kind of stuff. It's like, well, he's 32 years old. You should be able to answer your phone, dude. Anyways, go ahead.
But I'm just saying it's probably a lot of these people nowadays that like to live above their means for, I don't know. Now I call it the social media age where people like to, flash stuff that they don't
Oh yeah.
have kind of deal.
Yep.
And it's
the,
just
the
like,
best is when someone is like not paying their bills, and then you're like, get them on the phone, like, well, I had an emergency come up, and you go through their checking account, you start reading off what they paid, what they bought. It's like, all right, so you have Foot Locker, you have 3 different charges from OnlyFans. You know, you can't pay your bills, but you know, you can pay this stuff. You know, they're like, oh, you can't look at my account. I'm like, I can, and I am. Like, we need to know where your money's going. Like, you're not, you know, whatever. This is totally off subject of horror movies. Although I could probably give some good ideas for horror movies with some ridiculous
stories
stuff
that you've dealt with.
Yeah, especially in loss prevention. You know, that was some really sad stuff too. A lot of really sad stuff. But you know, it is what it is. It's a living. Yeah, it's a living. From Flintstones, get it? So is there anything new that's out now? Like, have you finished watching the new season of Stranger Things?
Well, the rest comes out July 1st.
Right, but I mean what's out now. Have you watched it all?
Yes, all 7 episodes. Yep.
I still haven't. I'm only 2 episodes in. When I was sick with the COVID, I ended up trying to watch it, and
this was definitely the most like intense season so far. I mean, every season's been like topping each other with like the goriness aspect. Like when it first started, it was more like sci-fi-ish, and then as the seasons went along, and they added like horror components into it. So this one was definitely, I mean, the first couple episodes, I was just like, I mean, it got crazier as it went, but it was just like, okay, I guess I'm into for something, you know. And I enjoy it. Then the next couple episodes, the last 2 was like, one of them's like an hour and 30 minutes or 40 minutes, and then the second one is like 2.5 hours, like the season finale. Wow. And then from what I heard, it was they signed for a 5th season. This one I thought was going to be the last season, but I think because there was such a hiatus and stuff, they're like, we'll just make one last season.
I saw one thing that was pretty cool. This was about season 2. There's someone like was taking stills and they zoomed in, and there's like a scene in season 2 where someone's got like a model of like the town, right? Okay. And you can actually see the little Beetlejuice headstone from the Beetlejuice movie. And it's him and Winona Ryder like looking at the model and everything, and you can see the Beetlejuice headstone. That's a cool little Easter egg.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So Dale's asking what we think of Wet Movie and Cool Dude being friends again. I think it makes, I mean, I don't know what stopped them being friends. I mean, we had Wet Movie on. I think the first time we had him on, it was like not too far after that they felt, you know, they had that falling out. And I remember he just didn't want to talk about it. So he told us, you know, I just don't want to talk about it on the show kind of deal. I'm like, yeah, totally get it. I think it's about time. I mean, it's been a long time. They were really good friends. I mean, you know, stuff happens. People get, you know, dumb stuff happens when you're younger. I have lots of friends or people that I would call friends that have maybe done something when I was younger that maybe irked me or made me think of them a different way. I'm an adult now, you know, like it's different. Good theme from Wicked Horror Show. Thanks, Sergio. But yeah, so I personally, I think it's cool. Hopefully they start doing some more videos and stuff. It'd be awesome. You know, I like their chemistry together. So what are your thoughts?
I mean, at that point in time, it was when I first heard about the thing. I mean, with YouTube, with the movie community on YouTube, it was always like rumors and this and that and this. So when I first heard it, I was like, this kind of seems like one of those things where it's like, okay, to get more views, we're going to pretend, because at that point in time, them two, I guess, would have been the biggest, you know, movie, personnel or you know, on
YouTube. Yeah, the regular YouTubers, yeah. Like physical media guys, like talk about hoarding and stuff. Yeah.
So at that point in time, I was like, I think this is, you know,
and also like the inspiration for myself and for you, and definitely for Wolfie a lot. You know, a lot of people started off doing YouTube because of them. You know, and I'm not too proud to. I'm definitely influenced by both of them. So,
well, I mean that. it was definitely like an influence because it was when I was growing up and collecting movies, no one else around me was doing it. So I
Right.
didn't think much of it until I realized, I knew there was collectors of different things, but I was just like, I thought I was not a rarity. But then seeing them put it out on YouTube and stuff, and just the amount of people, with doing TikTok now, you have the movie community on TikTok, but then you get the people that find it interesting that don't collect, but then you get the other people that are just like, why do you do this? Why are you
Right.
collecting this? So you get the naysayers, which is, I mean, that's a one thing. If anybody, that other people ask, how do I start something like this? I'm like, well, one of the thing you have to have a thick skin. If you're going to do anything on social media, that's one thing you have to do is have a thick skin.
What's funny is you were talking about like the drama and like how sometimes things we mentioned clickbaity and stuff like that. I there's like whole other communities in YouTube that are totally separate from the movie community altogether, and they have exactly the same problems. So that like I watch a lot of like motorcycle videos. I've never ridden a motorcycle in my life. I like motorcycles. I like watching about motorcycles, and there's this one dude that I really like. I liked his videos a lot. And then I noticed that a lot of them seemed kind of like, oh, she dropped her bike again, blah, blah, blah. This is why, I'm going to ask her to marry me, all this other stuff. And it's like nothing ever comes of it. Right.
Yeah.
And I just saw another YouTuber talking about like, things are getting so fake. She's like, I don't think I can do this anymore. All these clickbait stuff where people are pretending to drop their bikes and all this other stuff. She's like, it's dumb. It's dumb to do this for views. You should be doing it based off your content and stuff like that. And I'm like, this is all the same crap that's been going on for years, like in this other community. It's like, oh, welcome to the club.
Well, it's one of those things where like it comes down to, I don't think YouTube is as popular as it once was.
Right.
I think
that's what she was saying as well. So the beginning of the pandemic, before the pandemic, she was able to quit her full-time job and she was making a living off of YouTube. And that's not the case anymore. Even though her videos are getting the same amount of views, she's not making as much. And then she also said that it's harder for people to find her. Like she comes up in my feed, like this one, her name is Biker Babe Beth. She comes up in my feed, but no, it's not her. It's her two wheels. That's who I'm talking about. But it's not nearly as much as it used to be. Like I have to search for her a lot.
Well, I mean, with the like limitations that they have, and just like the warnings and stuff, it's very hard to like. You do one thing wrong, and you're like whatever they call it, shadow banning or whatever. Yeah. But it's one of those things where I don't think it's as popular it is because of I think TikTok. A lot of people are going the TikTok route, and like I think people's attention spans are definitely shrinking. Yeah. Especially these young kids, they want to watch a 10-second video as opposed to a 15-minute long video.
Right. So Dale's saying he started YouTube in 2007. When do you remember when it was you started, Tony?
I think 2009 is when I first started.
I'm not sure when I started.
So I think it's about like 13 or 14 years. But I definitely on the YouTube side, I definitely kind of because I noticed my view. It was like more of a hobby.
You're blowing up on TikTok, which is it's awesome. You have more subscribers on TikTok than you've ever had on YouTube.
Oh, definitely. It's like 15 times as much. And I've been doing YouTube but it's one of those things too, where my thing is I never was the one to edit stuff. Like I like to come off as real because a lot of the times you look at an edited video and it's just like, I don't trust you at that. Not, I don't trust you, but it's just like, it's not your authentic self. Like if I mess up, you're going to know I mess up. Right. How many times do and I mentioned it too. I'm like, I pronounce pronunciations that I can't do, but it's one of those things where I mess up. It's a way that I don't pronounce people's names right. I do this. I'm like, don't take offense to it. I'm horrible with it. Take it as a rite of passage. It's one of those things where it's going to happen, unless your name is, very easy to pronounce or whatever the word.
That's one of the things too. Like I talked to Angel from That Strange Show, who was going to come on tonight, but he couldn't because he's got a trip in the morning. But he's awesome, by the way, as everyone knows. And also That Strange Show is awesome. Go check that out. I think they just had their 200th episode, and I'm in it. So yeah, go check that out. But the like he edits a lot. I used to edit a lot too. Like when the Dorkening first started, we would do like a 3 or 4 hour show sometimes, maybe sometimes even 5 hours, and I would have to edit down the good stuff to an hour to put on DTM Wicked Radio. It would take like a day to do, and so it was ridiculous. And so that's why I'm like that's why I like doing the show live. I literally I pull the audio from the show, I take out the intro, put in the audio podcast intro, and then that's it. It's done. You know, I don't do any other editing. Maybe I'll add an EQ to it, and that's about it. I upload it, and then it's there. And then again, like I said, we get way more interaction on the audio podcast than we do in the video one, which stinks because I love doing the video podcast.
And then, I don't know. It's more because I guess pulling the veil a little bit away is when we kind of did our own thing with the Wicked Horror Show. We were questioning whether to do like only audio or we do. And I just, it flows a little bit better if I could see you.
Right.
Because if it was just audio, I mean,
don't get me wrong. If we ever ended up doing it just strictly audio, we would still record it this way.
Yeah.
You know, it just wouldn't be live. You know, which, I mean, I don't know. I mean, at some point we may have to think about that, to be honest with you. I mean, I do like doing it live. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, too, it's like, you know, we get, like when the show starts, we'll have like a bunch of people in the chat and then they just all dwindle out.
Yeah.
You know, but Sergio's always there. And that's what matters to me the most, is that Sergio's always there. And, but yeah.
I mean, it's also on, I think I can push it a little bit better. I try to as much as I can. I don't know, you know, whenever I'm on my lives on TikTok, I'll mention, okay, Tuesday nights, I try to do the lives as much as I can. I'm like, except for Tuesday nights, because I do have a podcast. I try to get people to, you know, sway on over. Some people said they can or whatever.
But that's the thing too, is like when Fat Monster Matt, when Matt reached out to me, he didn't know that we had a live video podcast. Like he didn't know. He'd been listening to the show for a couple of years. Okay. And you know, he didn't know we had a live video podcast. And he's like, oh yeah, I've never checked out the live video podcast before. I'm like, oh yeah, you should, you know. And I'm like, all right, check it out because I'm gonna play your video, you know. And but yeah, so it's you know, and I understand people have lives. Tuesday night may not be the best night for them. I know that's why Brother Max is always in, like not always in, but he's in the beginning, and then you know he has to leave because he works. But I don't know. So to be honest, it's about that time to wrap up. We're at 59 minutes. So we were just mentioning your TikTok. So where can people go check out your TikTok, Tony? TikTok Tony.
Well, I guess I'll just plug everything while I'm here. Yeah. Tony Has 9 Fingers on YouTube, where you can check out my reviews. I just did a Vinegar Syndrome haul. Like I said, I don't do it as much as I used to, but whenever I do post stuff, it'll be on there. Movie-related reviews, whatever have you. Tony Has 9 Fingers on Twitter, which I hardly ever use. Tony Has 9 Fingers on TikTok, where like I'll show off some of my stuff, and it's a little bit easier to edit and use the stuff. So I find it a little bit easier. So Tony Has 9 Fingers on there. Tony has Tony's Movies on Instagram, where I show off the movies behind me. And of course, whether we have a guest or it's something open discussion like this, you'll find us here every Tuesday night, whether it is on the audio side the next Tuesday or the live Tuesdays. Check us out 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, whether we have a guest or it's a live discussion. And of course, check out the Instagram as well, the Wicked Horror Show Instagram, where you can check out previous guests, or I don't want to say future guests, but a couple days before you'll see who will be coming on. Or
I try to not do it too far out because
in case they cancel.
So if anyone's wondering why we don't start pushing it until like day of, it's because we've had times where we start pushing it. They're like, oh yeah, this person can't be there and this person can't be there. And it's like, great. I'm like, I spent all this time doing a thumbnail or whatever. But anyways, so go check out all those. Was there any other ones, Tony?
No, that's about it. How about you?
Okay. Just A-Nuggle on Instagram. And besides doing the show with Tony, I also do reviews with the 13th Wolfman over on the audio side. And I'm also part of Black and White Fright and Violence Buffet. And then the upcoming, let me just make sure I get the name right. talk amongst yourselves. All of our all our yesterdays. And we actually have a guest already lined up a couple weeks after we start, which is going to be in July. We have Catherine Mary Stewart from Flight of the Navigator and the Comet, Night of the Comet.
I met her.
Oh yeah,
at one of the last cons.
Nice. She's going to be on that show. I'll ask her if she's any interest in coming on this one as well. But yeah, so go check that out. And thanks for listening. Please, if you're listening, come over and watch as well. We put a lot of time and effort into it. Help a brother out. Okay, this is the part where I cry, like I said I was going to in the descriptions. Bye, everyone.
Bye.